Why, hello, everybody, and good morning, and welcome to Fight Club. Hey, everybody, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Fight Club for Business, the show for home service business owners looking to improve their marketing, finances, system, and culture. We are a team of self-employed industry experts, and we are joined this week by our guest, Sean from SingleOps. Super excited to have you with us, Sean. And can you just give our listeners a brief rundown of yourself and your business?
Yeah, so my name's Sean. I'm the CEO and founder of SingleOps. I founded the business about a decade ago. It started as a project for Atlanta area landscaping company. I was working in there, and we built some software for them, and they just took off like a rocket. They were at about 2 million annual revenue at the time. They're close to 100 million now, and so early on, we kind of realized we were onto something, and that there was a huge need in the industry, and so we quickly, basically built it out to scale, and are really successful in both the tree care and landscape verticals. And that's really where we only focus. And fast forward to today, and our customers are all across the U.S. and every state in the U.S. That they do well over $1 billion in annual revenue through the software. And we were pretty high up on the Inc. fastest growing companies list this year. So definitely by far the fastest growing software in the green industry. And what SingleOps does, it's business management software. So everything from leads, estimates, like the CRM component, to scheduling, routing, time tracking, invoicing, you name it. It's pretty much the one-stop shop for software if you're a green industry business.
Awesome. I love that. I definitely want to pick your brain a little bit on kind of more the sales side today. So I'll kind of leave that for my segment. But nice to meet you, Sean. My name is Taylor Maroney. I co-own a power washing company in South Florida with my husband. And I've been working in marketing for about 6 years and found my passion for helping business owners really understand kind of that pre-process before what you're talking about, right? So how to make sure you're understanding the analytics behind the marketing, how you're understanding to bring in those leads. And then from there, making sure that they do have some system set up to make sure they're really able to capitalize on that marketing. So I'm excited to kind of pick your brain about the system itself that SingleOps can offer the green community. So nice to meet you and welcome to Fight Club.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well.
And good morning. My name is Megan Likes. I'm the founder of Bookkeeping Academy Online. I educate and empower small business owners to know their numbers so that they can live more financially rewarding lives. I have Likes Accounting Company, a full service accounting firm where you can outsource those nasty accounting tasks to me and my team. I do Bookkeeping Academy Online, where I teach business owners how to do their own bookkeeping in less than 1 hour a month with no previous accounting experience required. And I own Jeff Likes Clean Windows and Gutters with my husband, Jeff, in Northern California. And I'm very happy to be back here on this Tuesday morning. And welcome to Fight Club.
Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Hey there, Sean. It's Michelle. You and I go way back. I wore the SingleOps green. I wore a different green last week, so I'm rocking the colors this week for you. And I'm super excited to have you. You and I work together, so we know one another. But for those who don't know me, we do outsourcing of your front and back office tasks. So if you need help with customer care, Pink Collars can absolutely stand in the gap for your company. And we work with a whole host of different service verticals. And tree industry is where we started too. So I'm super excited to see you, and welcome to Fight Club, Sean.
Thanks, Michelle.
Okay, and last, but I guess not least, I'm Martha Woodward with Dusting Divas is one of my businesses. I own a maid service in a neighboring state, so I work as an absentee owner. I co-founded Quality Driven Software, so I also have a SaaS product. And we're in lots of verticals as far as maid service, lawn care, etc. And anyway, welcome to Fight Club, Sean. Nice to finally meet you. I've heard lots about SingleOps, and I'm excited to have you on the show today.
Thanks.
Awesome. So I actually kind of I've been reading a book called Everything's Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. And I heard a really cool term that I find really funny for business entrepreneurs, because all of us are always like in all these different places, right? We have all these little side projects we're working on. And in the book, she says that we're just multi-passionate entrepreneurs. So I feel like we should start kind of like running with that, because all of us really are. And I'm going to kind of shift my multi-passionate side of me today and talk about sales more, because we really don't talk about it as much on the show. So I want, Sean, just for you to kind of briefly in the beginning, give me the importance of having a set up process in your business for leads to funnel in through, because this is something I know when I worked with marketing companies in the past, our business owners really struggled with this. They would sign up for marketing, they would have the leads coming in, but that said and kind of like structured process, right, that you want to have set up and developed was never there. So they never really had the full capability and capitalizing on all the leads that were coming through. So to you, what is the importance of that, and why do you see that as being one of the foundation pillars of SingleOps?
Yeah. So trying to run a business without a CRM, right? Somewhere to track your leads, track your sales data, track your sales efficiency. I mean, it's really just like flying blind, and what you don't realize is how much inefficiency it creates. It may be a process that you're really used to. You may be kind of a one-man show, and you can, remember everything. Your CRM's up here, but if you're trying to scale, if you're trying to modernize, it's just not possible. And so, really, when SaaS products came out, the very, very first SaaS product that became successful was Salesforce, a CRM. And so, obviously software as a service SaaS is a huge industry now. And so if CRMs didn't really have that value, Salesforce wouldn't be the behemoth it is today. Now, while SingleOps, we use Salesforce, we're the type of company that it's built for, a software business. It is not a solution for a landscape business, or a tree care business, or really a field service business. The amount of configuration required, take for instance, so when we were founded SingleOps, our very first customer, they actually spent $200,000 configuring Salesforce to try to work for their business. And they're a $2 million a year landscaping company, right? Like, that's a huge investment. Not many folks were willing to make that. And it was a total failure for them. So that's just why we don't see that, as a successful kind of system within the industries we serve. And that's why we built SingleOps, one of the many reasons. And so when you're able to track leads efficiently, whether they come into the office or whether you're using someone like Pink Collars, or, whether you're managing this in the field, you have all that data at your fingertips. You're able to pick up estimates where you left off. You're able to, track history. And ultimately, you're able to get that bid, that estimate, that proposal out to the customer faster. And all the data shows is that the faster you get that in front of the customer, the more likely you are to sell that customer. And so to the point where, 80% of estimates accepted are the first ones received, right? So if you, get the call to perform an estimate and you take a few days, I mean, those are a few days that they're going to be like, well, I haven't heard back. I'm going to call someone else. Oh, they got the estimate faster, and you lose that business. So for us, this is a really big question, but I'll just kind of hone in on that one thing. Is just the ability to drive up sales efficiency and truly understand it is what, the system provides.
Absolutely. And I want to kind of really focus in on that percentage, right? So 80%, you are more likely to secure that estimate into a job the faster you get to that client. So there are a lot of business owners, like you said, that do run this through their head. My husband was one of them. He would put it in a Google Calendar and then tell me, oh, all the information's in the Google Calendar. It's fine. When I joined on with him a year and a half ago with business, searching through that Google Calendar is an absolute nightmare. I do not recommend Google Calendars as a quote unquote CRM to anyone who is first starting. The best investment you can make, and I know I'm kind of stepping on Michelle's toes a little bit systems wise, is making that investment into a CRM, because now it ties right back into your leads and your marketing. You're able to funnel them through a process that is structured, that you have reminders that can come through to you, and you're able, like Sean said, to execute on a faster basis to get that estimate out to those clients. So for you guys, what's kind of your overall structure? Do you start with the phone call or email that comes in and then immediately, have like a reminder that goes to your clients? Kind of what's kind of the structuring behind the doors of SingleOps there?
Yeah. So even though we're super focused on, really kind of two key verticals, tree care, full service landscape, also the supply side. So we have some sod farms and nurseries as well. They all typically kind of have a similar sales process where, it really does start with that request for an estimate. That request for an estimate may be a call to the office, which could be easily logged into SingleOps as a lead. It may be filled out on our customer portal. So this is a really nice tool they can put onto their website, where they can just plug it. The customer can request service, it automatically loads it into SingleOps. Or it may come from some other third-party source. So we have an open API that folks can integrate other lead sources into SingleOps. And we see all sorts of cool integrations there, whether it be from something like a Thumbtack or something like that.
Right.
They can integrate that through. So, but that's where the lead comes into that lead tracker. What that lead is going to know is it's going to know, who's the customer. Is it a new customer? Is it, an existing customer? In which case it won't duplicate it. What are they requesting? What job location are they requesting it for? Because everything here is job specific. So that's really the beginnings of this kind of location-based CRM functionality. And then all the other kind of aspects that you'd want to get. You can configure SingleOps to do that. And then depending on the type of service being requested, it may or may not require an on-site estimate. So that is almost always the case on our tree care side. It is sometimes the case on the landscape side. And that then generates this task in SingleOps automatically that can then be scheduled. And so that's very important. Understanding, hey, all right, we've logged the lead. What is the next step? The next step is to perform an on-site estimate. In which case in SingleOps, if you're going to schedule that, you can put it on the calendar. You could do a route planner and build out really sophisticated routes for your estimators. But it doesn't have to be that on-site estimate, right? The follow-up task could be anything. It could be just that. Make sure to follow up, in 3 days. You can have that automatically generated. But the whole goal here, again, is to very quickly be able to perform that estimate and send that proposal, that quote, to the customer. And so that's really that next step, is taking that lead, converting it to an estimate in our system, performing that estimate, sending that proposal, performing that estimate. That's a whole huge area, right? Where there's a lot of variation. What are you trying to estimate? Are you just simply trying to get a price for a couple services and move forward? Are you trying to estimate your man hours, your internal cost, your margin, your markup through production rates, through item groups and kits? It can get very, very complex. Also, too, what type of job is it that you're trying to estimate? Is it just a one-off service like a tree removal? Is it a recurring service like landscape maintenance? Is it some blend like a huge maintenance contract where you've got weekly mowings and then twice a year seasonal color along with a turf care package with 5 applications a year? It can get complex. And so you can build all that out. And then, but the goal here is speed and efficiency, doing so with intelligence of the system, right? For instance, a big maintenance contract, you're not starting from scratch every time. It's templatized. You just plug in the pieces you want, put in the minimum amount of data that you have that you need. So maybe just a square footage, it can calculate everything else and then deliver that proposal to the customer. What is really cool on the sales side that we find that are just huge benefits of using a system like this. One, when that lead is logged, you understand what the lead source is. Whether you're entering it in manually or whether it's automatically coming from one of those lead sources I mentioned. So that way later on, when it ties together with your estimate, with the work sold, performed, you have all that data as to what your most valuable marketing channels are. So you understand where your best bang for your buck is and where you can double down, triple down, and help grow your business. So that data side, that's a really important part on the marketing piece. And then another piece that I really love that folks use is when you're using a system like this, the ability to upsell and cross-sell. So not only are you able to, build an estimate for what the customer has requested, but hey, you're doing a on-site estimate. You're walking around, you're going to remove that dead tree, but you also notice 4 other trees are infected with the same pest that killed that other tree. Whether it be emerald ash borer, bark beetle, you name it. That's the whole PHC side of the industry. And so then you can upsell the customer, you can cross-sell them. Say, hey, look, we're going to remove this tree. It's going to cost $4,000. But if you don't want to have 3-4 more of these expensive renewals, I suggest you get on a program to save these 3 other beautiful trees you have on your property that are also infected. That's just one of many examples on how you can upsell and cross-sell using the system, really, really streamlined. And so that way, you don't get those pushbacks from your team when you're trying to roll out some new services. It just makes it so much easier. And then it really helps incentivize your sales reps because not only are they able to, generate larger commissions much more easily, but all that data is tracked. So you're able to pull up reports to see who are your top performing sales reps. And, these folks are competitive by their nature. And so just being able to show that data on who's got the highest close rate, who's got the, biggest win rate, then that's going to actually improve performance across your business. So those are kind of the steps to ultimately get to what we consider a job, which is then that whole other piece on that. But that's kind of the sales and marketing side.
Awesome. I love it. We kind of touched on everyone's topic just by talking about sales. You talked about how you can increase your dollar amount on estimates by cross-selling and being able to upsell. And that's kind of where Megan steps in. We talked about the system itself with Megan or with Michelle, how we go through the specific process to make sure that client is having the same exact experience every single time without a doubt. And then you even talked about how you can use that exact same sales process to benefit your people and culture. It always is amazing to me how when you really sit down and look at the engineering of a business, creating one process, having that sales process, like Sean said, starting with the lead, turning it into an estimate, going to the on-site estimate, upselling if possible, tracking the data, and then being able to adjust marketing and sales from that. Those 6 steps incorporate all of these 4 aspects of business that we talk about each week. So I think the ladies are itching at the bone to get to you next. So I appreciate you talking so in-depthly, Sean, about the sales process that you use at SingleOps. And I really think this is an eye-opening opportunity for business owners to implement this if you're not starting this now. So I'm going to go ahead and pass you off to Megan so y'all can talk some finances.
Oh, so fun. I don't know. We haven't talked about KPIs in a long time on this show, and we are going to absolutely talk about KPIs, Sean, because it sounds like you probably have a good dashboard to help business owners who are afraid of numbers, look at the numbers that they need to be watching and playing a game against themselves. But I first have to say, I was totally that home service business that tried to adapt Salesforce to my company with Google Calendar. You just took me back to a really painful period of my life where it was horrible. I also was that business owner that tried to make QuickBooks and Google Calendar my CRM. Yeah, this is taking me way back. So fun. Okay, so KPIs. I haven't asked this question in a long time, but Sean, I'm imagining that in SingleOps there's a dashboard, and I'm imagining that you have a bunch of brilliant people on your team that have put together your favorite KPIs to show your users. So I was hoping you could just share with our listeners what are the KPIs on the dashboard of the SingleOps platform, and if there's not a dashboard, if I'm overstepping, what have you found to be your favorite KPIs to present your users so that they can make better decisions in their business?
Yeah, every page in SingleOps is a dashboard, right? Every page we're pulling out really important data depending on what you're looking at, right? And we have a very extensive reports section where you can pull up, dedicated kind of, for instance, like a sales rep dashboard. So kind of going back to that marketing side, where you're able to look at each one of your reps, anyone who's selling business. You might call them a sales rep, you might call them an estimator, but you're able to see for any given date range, right? Maybe you want to look at it weekly, maybe you want to look at it monthly, what their close rate is as a percentage, which is important, but a percentage of number of estimates, that's important. Also a percentage of dollar size of estimates, that's also important. Who's selling the most volume, who's selling the most money, and then the actual numbers that lie within there. So, sales rep A sold 100 grand in this period. Well, sales rep B sold 150 grand out of, let's say 300 grand that was proposed. So they've got a 50% close rate there. So that's...
I'm going to pause you for just a second so that we can kind of digest that. If you are listening to the show or watching the show and you are an owner operator, let's say you're an arborist or you're a one-man show or a one-man show plus a helper or one-woman show, this is still relevant to you. Even if you don't have sales reps, this is still really important to be watching, knowing what your close rate is. I cannot tell you how many times I've given a talk and people are like, yeah, I don't know. I don't care. And that's why software is so important to leverage, right? So basically, Sean has they have put into their software, these are all the estimates that we generated today or last week. And here are all the invoices that went out. Here are all the estimates that converted to paying jobs, which means money in your pocket. And that is the close rate. And they're doing it in a dashboard setting where you don't have to remember Miss Jones and I don't know, Mr. Jones and Miss Sally. You don't have to remember all the names of what you did last week. They're going to give you one number And what I love about this number, which Sean, I've heard you call it a close rate. I call it a conversion rate. I think that's just like a logistical thing, but that one number is a game against yourself. Or if you want to use SingleOps is data, you guys are data nerds, which makes me super happy. I was looking at your report here, your industry report. You can make it a game against everybody in their industry, in their area, right?
Yeah. So
you've got good data.
If you've got multiple sales reps, right, there's value in having that report so you can, have them kind of see how they stack up against each other. But regardless, even if you're a one-man show and you're the only one who's, doing out those estimates, don't you want to know how you stack up against the industry? Because that's super important, right? You got a 30% close rate on tree service. Well, you benchmark terribly against the industry. And so it may be painful to know, but why are you not, above average there? And certainly you'd want to be above average. If you've got a super high one, your 80% close rate, wow, like what are you doing that is great? And heck, maybe it is time for you to bring on some new folks so that you can train them to do this. So that is something that's really important as well, even if you don't have a huge team, is to understand these KPIs. And then, whether it be through SingleOps, it's tools and resources that we have to offer, or things that are actually in the app, we can benchmark that against industry best practices and averages, and show you kind of where you stack up.
Yeah, I love that report. I just dropped the link into the chat.
The green industry economic report.
It's brilliant. You guys have it broken down by service type and by commercial versus residential, which is not usually a distinction we see in these kind of reports. And then you have it broken down regionally, which is beautiful. Another thing I noticed in that report as a KPI was average ticket. And you guys actually break it down even further. You break it down between one-time job and recurring service, which I think is really important for your industry and is also important for industries like Martha's and house cleaning, right? So what are those big tickets for the one-time job? And then what's happening when they turn into a repeat customer, right?
There's huge variation there. That's why we break it up. That's why the green industry is a complex one, because there's just so many different pieces. The average ticket size for a tree service job, for instance, removal, could be like 10 times higher than, say, a turf care visit, right? A turf care application might be a few $100. That tree care removal might be a few thousand. And so, and that's just one side of it too. The residential versus commercial, they can be two entirely different beasts. And really folks can care about very different things there. On the residential side, oftentimes they very much more so care about speed and efficiency because the volume of work is important for them. Now, high-end residential, that can start looking a lot like commercial, but then really with large commercial properties, it's much more so about, job costing, profitability per job and all those metrics. Because if you got this huge contract, this huge job, you want to be tracking it every step of the way to make sure at no point you're going to lose your shirt. And if so, then what do you need to do? Yeah,
I love that. So I heard labor efficiency in what you just said. And I feel like labor efficiency and production rate are really hard to calculate in the green industry. I have sat through many conferences where business owners have been like, my production rate's hard to figure out, and then nobody talks about labor efficiency, literally nobody. And that, I love this number. And I think that SingleOps is designed to make that easier for a business owner, easier to understand. Well, okay, we bid this many hours for this job. How many hours did we actually end up spending there? And I think you just gave us a good example of how that applies to residential and commercial, and to all different types of jobs. It's important to know, are we hitting our metrics? Are we hitting our I'm going to say the word budget and most people's eyes roll or glaze over, but are we hitting our budgets so that we can actually run profitable companies? And I love leveraging software for that. And I love leveraging industry specific software because it can really help us make better decisions. The last thing I wanted to mention before I pass you off to Michelle is there's a really great statistic in the SingleOps report that I was reading this morning, and it is numbers of days to payments. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So that's your AR, right? And that's the kind of the biggest thing is how much AR do you have outstanding, but what's that average time it takes for you to receive payment? Because the longer that is, the worse your cash flow is. And cash flow truly is the lifeblood of these businesses. We're not in an industry that's operating off of enormous margins. And because it is a seasonal business, the money can come in, quite a bit during one time of the year and not during another. So cash flow is king, and understanding cash flow and the things that drive it are super important. And one thing that kills cash flow is if you're got an office staff that's out there chasing down checks all day and you're not getting paid on time, or you got net 30, but everyone pays on the 30th day. And so there are very, very easy things that you can do to speed that up that just all the data supports. So just like I kind of gave the example of, all right, well, Salesforce is the, most valuable, SaaS company, the first SaaS company that really came to prominence, their CRM. Hopefully that would kind of prove the value of a CRM for a business. Well, credit cards have been around for, good Lord, I mean, how long have they been around for? And the adoption of credit cards within at least our industry in particular is still pretty low. I talk to landscapers all the time where it's like, oh, my customers, they prefer to write me a check. It's like, you actually talk to those customers? It's like, they say this is the last check I write every month, and good Lord, do I not want to do it anymore. And so and that's just kind of table stakes, right? Like just accepting credit cards, but accepting them in an integrated system like SingleOps is a whole nother level. If you're doing some off the shelf, all right, customer, go on my website, type in your invoice number, put in some, number you think you should pay me for that. That opens up a whole other can of worms, and duplicate data entry kills efficiency. So when it's in an integrated system, you send the invoice, it gets paid, it gets tracked to all that good data that you were talking about before, right? Comparing budget versus actual. Because a lot of folks would be like, well, heck, I got QuickBooks. I can just send that invoice out and get payment, no big deal. Yeah, but is that going to tell you if your estimate was accurate at all? Is that going to tell you, how efficient you're using your labor, how much money that sales guy's making you? No, it's not. And so there's so many missing pieces on why doing it through a system like SingleOps is better. And that doesn't even scratch the surface with all the other types of kind of intelligent payments, digital payments offerings we have, that all they're meant to do is to help you get paid faster. And I'll give you a few other examples. So prepays for recurring services, very, very popular with, say, PHC, turf care, maintenance. Well, you can, in SingleOps, set it up so that the customer, when they accept that proposal, can prepay for a year of services, get a little discount. So you get that money in the bank up front. Sure, you might be giving up, 5%, but the customer wants to pay for that. And then that is all cash flow. You just forwarded all that money so you can make investments in your company, which for sure are going to grow, more than 5% that you lost based off that discount. Or the time value of money, just put that in the market and you're going to pay a return anyways.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm going to pause you for a minute because I think you're going to get into systems with Michelle, and I can watch her being like, okay, that is a system that I want to talk about.
No, I'm good.
Okay, before we switch to gears, I just need to wrap up what I heard Sean say for our listeners. Important KPIs that whether you're a one-man show or you have multiple sales reps in the field, these are games against yourself. And this is how you double your revenue without increasing any expenses very easily. If you watch your average ticket, so that's those cross sales during the estimates. If you watch your conversion rate, so that's how many customers are calling your business or going on your website that you're actually converting into paying customers. If you watch the days to pay, how many days it takes from the time a customer receives an invoice and you have cash in your pocket or money in your bank. We need to be watching these metrics because you can play a game against yourself to improve these, to improve the health of your business. We talked about client acquisition costs briefly, vaguely. We talked about labor efficiency briefly, vaguely. But if you had these 5 key metrics on a dashboard in front of your face every single day, and you watch them improve month after month, your whole business financial story would change. And software, instead of spending all day tracking down these things, software is a great way to leverage that data. So thank you, Sean, for sharing that with us. I'm going to pass you to Michelle, and she's going to talk to you about systems. And that was awesome. So fun.
Thank you.
Hey, well, I heard you say these two words like multiple times, speed and efficiency. And those are two of my favorite words too, because I love empowering people with technology to make them not only good employees, but great employees, right? So when you talk about speed and efficiency, and you also mentioned that you have an open API, other than Thumbtack, what other sort of plugins can people put at the front of SingleOps, or what other things are you seeing out there that people can use to up that speed and efficiency for the software?
Oh God. I mean, pretty much, yeah, pretty much any third party, kind of lead aggregator. So,
Okay.
Home Advisor, that whole burrito software that folks would
Sure.
go on into. And then a lot of ones that are a little bit more unique. So for instance, if they've got a marketing team that they're working with, we have some of our larger accounts that'll work with like a third-party marketing system that will then pull data in. And so there's a ton of ways that you can basically have SingleOps just pick up those leads automatically, so you don't have to enter them. However, that's not the only value of the API, right? You might want to pull that data out to do other more sophisticated reporting.
Sure.
So it's one of those things that we offer it. Not all of our customers a small minority take advantage of it.
Sure.
Just because it does require some technical know-how on their end. But it's one of those things we're happy to help you with, point you in the right direction on how you can connect that. But we've seen some pretty creative, deployments of that.
I love that. So you just came back from TCIA Expo. I know that you were traveling. Tell me how you're seeing technology being embraced by the green industry, because I know a lot of tech has been a little bit resistant in the green industry. And tell me how you've seen that change over the last few years, just coming back from out of the field.
God, that's a great question.
Please.
And I actually gave a talk to our team before trade show season started. We did a big presentation, and I kind of did my history of the trade shows and how technology has been receptive. And so first GIE, I think it's probably 8 years ago, we had a small little booth and folks are coming up, what's the cloud? Tell me what the cloud is. And why would I need this? And at the time too, I'm a good bit younger. And so don't have the grays in my beard right now. So they're, all right, you're some, young tech nerd. Well, I'm not going to trust you. You don't understand the industry. But we stuck around, and we, continued to learn more and learn more about the businesses that we're really, really close to. Part of our story is that we didn't have an office the first 3+ years when we're starting the business, literally working out of the office of our first few customers, landscape tree care, just really, really learning their business and kind of having that tight feedback loop to build a better product. So as our product evolved, and as some of our competitors' products evolved, it just helped to build more general awareness. So, the next year's trade show, it wasn't what's the cloud and, are you going to go down or whatever. It was more so, all right, well, show me what you have compared to your competitors. I am interested. Like, show me what you got. And then it goes to not only am I interested, it's now I know I have to do this year. Like, tell me how you can show me how I can do this in my business. So it's truly evolved, but it hasn't evolved as fast as, say, other industries, right? And it won't continue to evolve as fast as other industries. The industry we're working in, the green industry, no big surprise. Historically, it's been a little bit more resistant to change and resistant to technological innovation. We're still in the early innings of folks adopting this software, and not just adopting it, right? You can say, all right, I'm using one of these softwares, but how much of it are you actually using? Because it does so much. You might be using the stuff that we just talked about, the leads, estimates, all that stuff, but there's a whole host of other functionality when it comes to scheduling and routing and execution and production that we haven't. Are you giving your crews in the field out mobile devices so they can access their routes and do time tracking? So I think we're still in the early innings, but it's been really great over the last decade to see the evolution of one, education, understanding, and two, really the acknowledgement that this is needed in their business. The question now is, when do they do it? My last part on this question, I do think that COVID was something that really drove that acknowledgement that folks really need this in their business. because all the advantages of a truly cloud-based system really kind of showed itself, right? Like if you can't come into the office, you can work from home.
Yeah.
You could do so much remotely when before you just can't.
Yeah. That's so good. Out there also, because you're out there with other trades people and you're seeing other technology, is there anything out there that you're seeing people request of the software? Are you getting any questions? People want a specific tool
No,
or
never.
communication
No one
device?
wants anything.
No one, I know.
We've got it all.
What are you hearing, right?
I'm kidding. Good Lord.
I know, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
If SingleOps could raise their kids for them,
I know.
Martha just rolled her eyes. Martha also owns a SaaS company.
She knows how painful, but is there anything that's kind of top of mind that you see that you'll be jumping on in 2022 that people can kind of start looking for? Not to put any pressure on you, but just, is there anything coming up that we should know about?
A lot of stuff. So,
Okay.
we have a roadmap. So we have an entire both product team and engineering team, both led by incredible experts, older than I am, who, have brought a lot of maturation and sophistication to those parts of our business. But some pretty cool things that we've got coming up. We're really targeting a handful of, each one of our verticals, kind of giving them love and some really cool stuff. So on the landscape side, design, build, we've got some really cool things like progress billing. This also applies to larger tree service jobs as well. So really cool stuff there. To Megan's questions about the dashboards, that's actually a big investment of ours as well. Not only do we have, great current reports and an integration to Sisense for folks that might want to do their own dashboard building. We're building out some kind of advanced analytics in SingleOps as well, which we're pretty excited about. And then also on the Taylor, I could have talked about this with you, but there's a whole piece within SingleOps of templated and automated emails and text messages that can go out to assist marketing. And we're really building out a very cool, we call it an automation module. That one we're actually releasing. The first teaser is done. We're going to kind of put out the first version of that this quarter. So that kind of touches a lot of different bases, right? The sales and marketing aspect, the data and reporting aspect, and then also to kind of specific functionality for the different verticals that we serve.
And it allows the business owner to pull that lever when the business might be slowing down a little bit, right? Dump everybody into that automation and do a little bit of touching outreach to those clients that may not have closed. So it does kind of speed up the office and get the phone ringing too. So that's all good stuff. So, okay.
The seasonality component's big, right? So for instance, we're about to enter, the off season for a lot of our customers. Sure. And so this is a time where they're doing renewals. And when you're doing renewals, it's a perfect time to do upsells, right? Yeah. We see that you did our turf care program last year. Would you like to renew that? And if you do, we'll give you a discount off a full maintenance package. Yeah. And so all that is functionality within SingleOps. And a lot of that is, why we're kind of driving some new feature releases this time of year. And then we expect some pretty high adoption and value from our customers for it.
Love it. Love it. Okay. I'm going to pass you to Martha. Thank you so much, Sean. Appreciate it.
Have we worn you out yet, Sean?
Keep it coming.
Hey, so I would like to talk to you about SingleOps culture within your own company. And the reason why is because I feel like I learned a lot about culture, the good and the bad, from my past in the corporate world. And so some of the things that happened when, say, I was getting recruited to a job, some of that I've taken. And even though I'm trying to recruit people for house cleaning, I use some of those principles from the corporate world that people wouldn't ever really think about, and they're higher level. So can you share kind of overall what you try to achieve with your culture, some of the cool things that you think you guys are doing, and let's get some ideas for our own business? That would be great.
Yeah. Well, Martha, just from our standpoint, SingleOps as a business, and we view our biggest strategic advantage as our culture. not even our product, right? I mean, we've got competitors that have similar functionality. Yeah, we do it better, but what's to say they can't build something like that? What they can't build, what they can't copy, our biggest competitive differentiator is our culture, because it's so unique to us. And so this goes beyond just, understanding your core values and your mission statement. It really is how you live and drive that culture through your organization day by day. And as CEO, this is now kind of my number one job, is to make sure that all of our team leads, that everyone, that they're just really excited about the direction that SingleOps is going, and that we're recruiting and hiring people that are culture adds, not even just culture fits, culture adds. They're going to help us to grow and evolve our culture. And so certain things that we do, one, biannually, we do an EMPS survey. So an employee net promoter score. A net promoter score is typically done, for customers, right? To see, how likely would you recommend our service or our business? Right. We do that within SingleOps. How likely would you recommend working at SingleOps to your friends or, colleagues, or not colleagues, sorry, to work with there, but, folks in your network.
Right.
And with that, we're able to benchmark, create our own score, our own EMPS score, but also get really good data from the team. It's just kind of another way to do an internal survey.
Mm-hmm.
And, we'll see, for instance, I'll open the kimono a little bit. Earlier this year, when we did it in January, our EMPS score was not very high for our standards.
Right.
And so we're like, all right, well, we really want to improve that. We really want to drive that. So we listened. Folks, we realized they didn't really have an understanding of some of the more bigger things that we were succeeding at. And so we decided, hey, we want them to have some more skin in the game. So we rolled out stock option participation to 100% of our employees. So now technically we're, employee-owned business. And so we did that based on that low score at the beginning of the year. We also improved health insurance benefits. So SingleOps covers far more than it was previously. A handful of other things. And all that being said, when we did our EMPS score in the middle of the year, we just, a few weeks after receiving that data, it turned into one of our highest scores. So folks went from, not, they're happy, but like, we want it to be better, to now they're so much happier. And that's just in the span of 6 months by listening and responding and making sure that that's all aligned with our culture. So I could go on and on. There's all these other cool things we do there. We've got a culture ops committee. We've got, we're actually hiring right now a VP of people ops to run this entire part of the business alongside me. So huge investments we're making there. And we really see that change not just within our business, but how our customers respond to us. Because it boils down to everything from a, customer support call. When that employee is really bought into our vision and our mission and our culture, and they're the folks we want to work with, and one of our core values is customer success, it just drives up even the smallest little thing, like a single customer support conversation that then turns into a good review for us online. So super powerful and a huge investment that we make in our business.
That's really cool. And when you were talking about people on the phone dealing with the customers, that sounds so simple to be able to improve that, but it's so hard. And I think a lot of companies just abandon it because it is hard. And, that book, Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh, who's no longer around, which is so sad. But I remember getting to tour Zappos, which was his company. And that was one of their, I guess I would say, core values, is that when, I'm not saying adopt this or you should adopt this, but one of the things that they did was they had a rule. You stay on the phone as long as the customer wants to. Like, we are not a company that has a time limit and you've got to wrap up that call. You stay as long as the customer wants to. And they had a story of a near 24-hour call where they actually ordered the person on the phone, pizza to be delivered to their home. And, but we could go on and on, but I mean, that's culture. That is standing behind what you say. And that was, if anybody ever gets the chance, again, Tony Shea, the founder, is no longer with us, but I'm sure they're carrying on his legacy. And if you ever get the chance to tour Zappos, which is in Las Vegas, which we're going to all be there pretty soon, it's phenomenal. I mean, it is so cool. You'll want to come back and get cereal bar for all your people, and but yeah, I love that. I really love that. And one thing that I heard you say that is really powerful and seldom really done is listen and then react. Listen and then take action, really, is a better way. And we can't take action on everything that our employees want, but you can at least communicate the why if you can't, and you're going to try and take action the best of your ability. So I think that's a real win.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them require, sometimes financial investments. We bought everyone more upgraded machines, but not everyone, has the capital or the resources to do that. But there's so many things you can learn from that. And honestly, just the act of showing that you're listening, like just doing that alone, really just gives so much value across your team. I do want to go back to the delivering happiness example, and the fact, it's not how long you're spending on the call. It's, are you getting to a resolution for the customer?
Right.
And so we've all read Delivering Happiness. And so we integrate that into our processes that drives it all the way back into the metrics and the KPIs that we measure. So one KPI that we don't measure is average time spent on a call. We don't care about that. What we care about is average time to resolution. So that's the one that we look at. And so because we don't care about how long you're talking to folks, we care about how efficient you are in getting them resolution to their answer, because that's what they care about too. Like, they don't want to be on the call with you for 24 hours, right?
Exactly. Most people do not.
Yeah, they want it to be quick. And so really you can take those lessons from the culture standpoint and even turn them into metrics and KPIs for your business. ENPS is one as well. So
yeah, and I think that's great. And one of the things, just for our listeners, one of the things that I do is, if our staff suggests something and it's out of our budget, many times I have to say, okay, let me think about that and get back to you. And so maybe I come back to them and I say, I heard you say da da da, and then I will say, at this point, I can't afford to do that, but if we can trim expenses to this, or if we can get to this client count, I will add that, so it's very transparent, and you still listened. And as a team, if we can move this needle forward, so it really is listening. And if you can not say no to everything, that's a great thing.
yeah, and being transparent about budget and what you're able to do is important. Setting goals. We do OKRs, and so that's also another great book, Measure What Matters. And we use a system called Ally, ALLY, which is just this OKR platform that I believe was just acquired by Microsoft. So hopefully that doesn't shy you away from wanting to use them. OKRs, objective key results, we live and die by those. It's just an amazing goal setting framework. And then, so for instance, you mentioned possibly an OKR, and with a bonus attached to it. An OKR would be, we need to cut expenses, or we need to drive revenue up to this point. And then how are you going to get people behind it? Well, if we do so, now we'll, match your 401k or something.
Right.
So, that's exactly what we do. We have bonuses behind those OKRs very often to drive excitement, but we just got to make sure that they're always in line with our core values, and just communicating, why and how they are.
Right.
I want to share something really cool we're doing, Martha, with our culture recently. I know this week's episode is brought to you by Nice Job, and I am a huge Nice Job fan. I know you all know I'm always raving about it and talking about it and how great it is. But I had a mindset shift recently where I updated my automated emails that were going to my customers to ask for reviews, and I changed the verbiage to say, hey, would you like to tip your technician today? Here's a great way that you can leave a tip for your technician. As a company, we believe in investing our advertising dollars in our people, not in other companies. So if you take 2 seconds today to leave us a review on these platforms, a Nice Job curates the experience so that they're leaving reviews on platforms already on, we will give X dollars to your technicians from today's job. Thanks so much for being a Jeff Likes Windows customer. Have a great day. It's been pretty incredible because people now aren't leaving reviews for us. They're leaving reviews for our team, which has really helped our culture. So if you have not checked out Nice Job yet, that is an automated process that is fantastic, that is easy to implement in your business. And you can check them out at get.nicejob.com. So I just had to throw that out there because it felt very culture related, and our technicians are happier because their bonuses on a weekly basis are going up and up and up. And they love when Jeff prints out these reviews that have their names in them. I mean, that makes them really proud and happy and feeling satisfied with their work. So thanks, Nice Job, for being a sponsor. And thanks for bringing me more money to my company every single week.
Yeah, that's a win-win because your employees are happy. They're getting more tip or bonus money. And then it's bringing more customers to you because you're more visible through SEO. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, Taylor, take us away maybe on homework. What do you say?
All right. I'm going to apologize now for the snoring pug in the background. He is knocked out on my couch and very loudly snoring. So I apologize. But homework, just to remind everyone how homework goes, we are about to go ahead and give you 4 to 5 pieces of homework. So we ask you just to choose one. Just pick one piece of homework that spoke to you this week. That's something you need to implement. And I like to think to choose it based upon fear, excitement, and kind of need to do it. So if you've been pushing this off, if it's something you've been needing to do, or it's something you're really excited about, those 3 key factors are a way to be able to choose what piece of homework you're going to move forward with. And if you need any help in the homework or you forget what the homework is, we do have an accountability group that you can be able to access and get help with the homework and make sure you're accomplishing it. So marketing homework is going to be based upon my conversation with Sean about sales. And I want you to look at your sales process. Do you even have an option to funnel leads after you get them, to organize them, to know where they're coming from, and then know if you've even contacted them and if you've done that on-site estimate? Just asking yourself that question of, do I have this process yet? Or what is the process and how can I make it more fast and efficient, like Sean was discussing? Maybe it is using a company like SingleOps. Or if you do use a company like Responsibit and making sure you're putting them through that software. These types of things can help you become more efficient and fast with your business. So take a look at the sales process and then also see if you need to implement some form of software to make sure that's getting pushed forward.
Awesome. And as a reminder, just choose one. We only want you to do one homework assignment. Your money homework this week is to write down some KPIs in your business. And I know that sounds weird. I know we're talking about leveraging technology and let's use our dashboards, but I really love this idea of measuring where you're starting and where you're going, because that is literally dollars in your pocket as an owner. So write down where you are right now today, average ticket, conversion rate. Let's start with those 2. Maybe gross sales for yesterday. How much was your sales for yesterday? Write down those 3 numbers. And then I challenge you to look at it at the end of the week and see, is it different? Did it change? And you might feel like, oh, that's not soon enough. But this is how we start to implement change, is we measure what matters. I put that book in the chat here. That's a great book, Sean. We measure what matters, and we're actually keeping our eye on the ball. So if you looked at these numbers every single week and every single month, I guarantee you will have more money in your pocket by the end of 2021, by the end of this year. So, and if you want to hack, I'm a millennial hack. Get software like SingleOps. If you're in the green industry, get SingleOps so that you can actually use technology to calculate these numbers.
And your systems homework, I already filled it out online. I totally am doing my own homework before I even assign it, is to check out ally.com. I didn't even know something like this existed. So Sean, that was like my biggest takeaway for today. So I want every business owner to check it out, see if that's something they could share with their team. I'm going to take it for a test drive and I will report back.
Highly recommend it.
Cool. I love it.
And your people homework. I want you to survey your employees and figure out a regularly timed system for surveying your employees, because here's what happens. If you don't have it timed where you do it monthly, quarterly, biannually, I would not ever go below biannually. But if you don't have that regularly scheduled, if things aren't great, you want to not survey. So it needs to be very scheduled. And I like to do let's get where they're at right this minute. And then what would move the needle 1 point? So if you rate me a 7, what could we do to raise it 1 point? And the reason I like adding that one little thing is because it seems broad, and when you say, how can we do better? It doesn't spark the comments, but when you say, there's something about visualizing the 1 point that people can hone in and get a little bit more specific. And then that's when you listen. And Sean, if you want to give homework, you most certainly can. Or if you don't want to, you don't have to.
I don't want to be the meanie my first time joining, so I'll
okay, they
no
have
homework for me this time.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, how can everyone be able to reach you then? If they do have questions about SingleOps or wanting to talk to you personally, what's the best way for them to contact you and your company?
I just say go to our website and fill out our one of the forms, and that immediately sends it into one of our systems that we use. Which, if you want to talk to me, just let folks know, and they'll pass along the message. But yeah, and we also do have live chat on our site. Another thing I highly recommend that I don't see nearly enough folks in our industry using. But yeah, just start talking to us, and we'll ask whatever questions you got, and we'll give you the answers.
Awesome.
Love it. And we always end, Sean, with the quote of the week. And I felt like you just touched on this in every single one of our topics today. And it's, company culture is the backbone of any successful organization, by Gary Vee. You can't go wrong with one of his quotes. So Thanks everybody for joining us. And thanks so much, Sean, for hanging out with us today. And for those of you headed to TCIA, Doug and Taylor are going to be in the booth there starting on Wednesday afternoon and Thursday and Friday and Saturday. So go check them out and go by and say hi to everybody there at TCIA and SingleOps. So we're neighbors. We're right next to each other. So come say hi to everybody there at TCIA in Indianapolis. Okay,
and
awesome.
Fight Club will be in Las Vegas in just 12 short days.
We're going to be in Vegas, baby.
And we still have room at our happy hour. If you would like to join us, we will drop that Eventbrite link in the chat. We have Alonzo Adams joining us live from Las Vegas the night before the ISSA show starts. So we'd love to buy you a drink, and we'd love to hang out with you. And thanks to Jobber for sponsoring.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.